Could we actually be getting a creature from the Black Lagoon as part of a Phase 2 expansion for Epic Universe? Hello everybody, welcome. Today we're going to look at this long-rumored attraction and what we could possibly be getting as part of the next expansion to Epic Universe. Speculation on a creature from the Black Lagoon attraction at Epic Universe has been swirling even since the park was first announced way back in 2019. Only a few months after the announcement, we started to uncover plans and official site maps for Epic Universe. Now, many of those site plans changed throughout the process of developing and creating Epic Universe, but there are also a lot of details that remain the same. Interestingly enough, if we look at the original site plans for Dark Universe, almost everything that is in this plan pretty much came to fruition. It's pretty much identical to what the original plan was. But there is one major exception, and you can see it very clearly there in the site map. This is a big show building here. In that one corner of the site map, there's a large show building. You can very clearly see it there. And obviously we did not get a big show in Dark Universe. We didn't get a big show building. Instead, they ended up getting rid of that idea and they put in the Curse of the Werewolf attraction in that corner of the park instead. This is often why people refer to the Curse of the Werewolf as feeling a little bit out of place. It doesn't quite feel like it fits there. When they put up that sort of black netting around the coaster itself, because of the way it was designed, the way it was built, and the space that they had to play in, it wasn't originally designed to go there. And so they had to put a bunch of black netting up there to prevent things like, watches or whatever somebody might have in their hand flying off and hitting guests around some of those sharp turns, where normally you would sort of put that attraction further back or surrounded more by trees and things so that you wouldn't have to worry about that. Because they didn't have the space, because it wasn't originally designed to go there, they ended up having to put that netting up, which kind of feels a little weird and awkward, especially because a lot of the trees haven't grown in yet, so you can see it very clearly. So that's one of the complaints that I've heard about Curse of the Werewolf and Dark Universe specifically, is it feels like that attraction is kind of out of place, and that's why. Looking at the original site map, you'll notice that there is no creature from the Black Lagoon, there is no boat ride specifically designed in this space. There really was never a site map or plan that illustrated that they were going to be bringing a boat ride into this Dark Universe. So where exactly did this rumor come from? Why do people keep talking about a creature from the Black Lagoon? Well, we have to go back way back when the park was first announced. This rumor actually came from some very credible insider sources at Universal and was originally reported on by Stella Nova there over at Theme Park Stop. But since then, it has pretty much disappeared from any sort of public thing. Any sort of official announcement has never happened on that, and people really stopped talking about it. In addition, those same insider sources have also now admitted, they said, I really haven't heard anything about it since then. Don't even know if that's still part of the plan. So the question is, will it happen? Is it actually a plan? And if so, where will it be? What will it be like? And when could we possibly be seeing it? So if we end up getting a creature from the Black Lagoon attraction, the most obvious choice for that attraction is going to be a boat ride. Obviously, creature from the Black Lagoon is in water, he's in a lagoon, and why would it not be a boat ride? It doesn't really make a lot of sense for it not to be a boat ride and some sort of dark ride. We know that Universal, and Universal knows this, we know that Epic Universe needs more dark rides, more indoor attractions, and more family-friendly attractions. Not just family-friendly, but they need more attractions that work very well for people of any height, any size, any age. Doesn't matter, they need more attractions like that at Universal in general, and specifically Epic Universe. During the rain, there's literally 3 rides open, if we're lucky. 3 rides open during the rain at Epic Universe. Family-friendly attractions at Epic Universe for very small children, there's really only a couple. So clearly some sort of family-friendly attraction that's going to be a little bit less intense and is going to need to be an indoor attraction and a dark ride of some kind. It just makes sense with Creature from the Black Lagoon. A dark ride, I don't think it would work super well out in the daylight when everything is bright. You think of the ambiance of Dark Universe, you think of the need for darkness, for there's to be some sort of eeriness. Think like a Pirates of the Caribbean type attraction. People absolutely love Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think the Creature from the Black Lagoon jump scare there in Monsters Unchained is probably one of the best moments in the entire ride, and the animatronic is phenomenal. But knowing Universal, just a standard boat ride like a Pirates of the Caribbean over at Magic Kingdom is not going to be good enough for them. They're gonna need to have something else. It has to be amazing. Something that's going to be using new technology. So let's take a look at some of the technology they could use for a more inventive, interesting, more future-facing boat ride. The first attraction I want to talk about is Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld. This was created in 1998, so it's quite old at this point, but it is still very innovative ride system. It is still a new, sort of fresh take on boat rides. It is specifically referred to as a water coaster. It's part dark ride, it's part boat ride, it's part roller coaster. And if you've never ridden it, it's actually pretty cool. It starts out very kind of calm and serene, going through like, you know, the typical log flume type like passages with lots of decorations. And then all of a sudden you go down this huge water drop and you get soaked. And then it turns into a roller coaster. Later on, you go up another hill and it comes out of the water. It comes off onto the track and then it turns into a roller coaster. It's actually a really cool attraction. So props to SeaWorld for bringing this thing to life. It's really awesome. This attraction also uses a lap bar restraint. Conversely, if you think of Pirates of the Caribbean, the originals, they don't have a lap bar. They're very low key, very sort of like relaxed. There's not a lot of craziness to them. There's no lap bar at all. Pretty much anybody can ride Pirates of the Caribbean. So obviously the water coaster is a little bit more intense. However, this is also pretty old technology now. Again, 1998, that's been around for a while. So I don't think that that's going to be the system that they're going to use for Creature from the Black Lagoon. The next most obvious choice to look at for a ride system is going to be what they use for Pirates of the Caribbean, Battle for the Sunken Treasure, and that's in Disneyland in Shanghai. This attraction was opened in 2016, so it's much more modern boat ride technology. And by far, this is the best Pirates of the Caribbean, hands down, of any of them across the world. And it makes sense because this ride was created in the last 10 years. The original Pirates of the Caribbean Disneyland was 1967. The Disney World was 1973. Tokyo Disneyland 1983. And Disneyland Paris 1992. Which means this Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean was built 24 years after the next closest Pirates of the Caribbean attraction in Disneyland Paris. So there's been a 24-year gap since they made a Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So obviously this one, this Battle for the Sunken Treasure in Shanghai, it blows it out of the water. I mean, it's just totally different. If you've never experienced this attraction, it is insanely awesome. It is a fresh take on Pirates of the Caribbean. And they went all in on using the movies for the theme of this attraction. This isn't like Pirates of the Caribbean at Magic Kingdom where they threw a few, you know, Johnny Depp animatronics in there and Captain Barbossa's voice here and there. Like, this thing was literally designed after the movies, not the original Pirates of the Caribbean. And this attraction uses a boat technology that they basically created for this ride. And it is a boat that sits in the water that can come on and off of the track to be refurbished. There are essentially two arms at the bottom of the boat, one in the front and one in the back. And those arms attach to a track that is submerged under the water. And these two arms can sort of move independently from each other, which allows the boat, as it's going along the track, to be able to go forwards and backwards and sideways and even sort of rotate based on how the track is designed. So it has all this freedom of movement, unlike a typical boat attraction, which literally really just goes forward and uses water to sort of push it along. Because it's on a track and it has this system, it literally can move any which way you want it to move. So it gives the freedom of movement on this ride a lot more ability to do interesting effects and things, and throughout the ride you do sort of go sideways, you do go backwards. It's a really cool experience. It also, of course, has the typical water pieces and the scenery, and then there's animatronics, but they also integrate digital screens with this attraction. And there's even a really cool combination of effects that they do for Johnny Depp, where he basically transforms from a skeleton into Johnny Depp, and they're using a lot of different things like digital screens and animatronics and a sort of a Pepper's Ghost-like effect like you would see in the Haunted Mansion. And it's just a really cool ride. This is newer technology, 2016, so they could definitely go this route in some way. They'd have to create their own version of it because this is something that Disney created specifically for themselves, but they could easily adapt to sort of a technology similar to that when they think about what they could do for Creature from the Black Lagoon. However, there is another possibility with a new Mack ride system that has emerged. This is their rocking boat system. They refer to it as a new kind of water ride. Now, this is not new technology. It was developed about 5 years ago. They started doing demonstrations of it and showing what it could do. And if you think about 5 years ago, that is coincidentally exactly when Epic Universe was announced. Which means that this boat, this rocking boat attraction, this ride, was probably in development for a few years prior to them releasing it 5 years ago, prior to Epic Universe being announced, back when Epic Universe would have first been started to be developed and designed and created. More than likely, Epic Universe, Universal, they were having conversations with these manufacturers like Mack and Intamin and all these people, and talking about things that they could be doing. So it's very possible, I have no information to confirm this, but it's very possible that this rocking boat ride system was originally created as sort of an ask from Universal about what could we do with a water ride. And then they ended up just not using it for Epic Universe for whatever reason for a phase 1, but potentially for a phase 2. So this timing could just be very coincidental, but coincidences a lot of times end up being true. So this is highly likely that this boat, this sort of rocking boat system, was created specifically for Epic Universe at one point. So the way it works is there is the typical boat, like log flume type boat vehicle, and it underneath is attached to sort of this like frame or almost like this arm system. So the frame sort of can expand and collapse. It like goes up and down based on the depth of the track and where the water is. And as it's sort of sitting on top of the water, it enables it to sort of free float and move almost independently from the arms that are sort of attaching it. Somewhat similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, but also somewhat similar to maybe like the Kuka arm system. We know how much Universal loves the Kuka arm system that they use for Forbidden Journey and Monsters Unchained. It's not quite as advanced at that. There's not like a giant arm under there with all these sort of moving parts and things. It is much more of a simpler sort of contraption. But essentially those sort of arms underneath it are connected to the track. And at the top where it's connected to the boat, it allows the boat to experience the sort of jostling around of the water. So it's connected in a way that allows it to pivot based on the fluctuation of the water and what's happening there with waves. And you can actually feel the boat sort of rocking back and forth like if it was just sitting on the water without an arm attached to it. Which is really interesting. It's a bit different than Pirates of the Caribbean because that system doesn't exist. It literally is attached. So there's no natural movement of the boat rocking on Pirates of the Caribbean based on water. So that track that it's connected to can be completely submerged, or it can come out of the water, similar to the water coaster we talked about with Journey to Atlantis. So these boats can come in and out of water, almost like a roller coaster. But it also has the ability to have very tight turning radius. So it allows, the way that the sort of boat system is attached to the track, it allows for the track system to be very narrow, very tight turns. Doesn't have to be long, wide turns. So you can get really like whip around effects, almost like you're dodging something. Like think about Jurassic Park and maybe a dinosaur is coming out and reaching and trying to get you, and the boat just kind of like quickly weaves around it. You can kind of feel that experience. It also allows this thing to go forwards and backwards. It can come up hills and back down hills. However, right now, I don't see anything that enables it to go sideways or sort of even do a spin of some kind. So that piece is not in existence right now, but I do think that could be a future enhancement to this ride system that Universal could easily work with Mack on to allow them to do even more. Now, obviously, because it's on a track, it also has very open water design. There's no need for sort of like channel walls that sort of guide the boat along as it bumps side to side like a Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou, or Pirates of the Caribbean. It can be sort of free-flowing in water without having these like rails along the side. So this new system almost feels like a Hagrid's. Think about Hagrid's Magical Creatures motorbike adventure over at Islands of Adventure. That is like probably one of the penultimate attractions in the world, probably one of people's favorite attractions at Universal. It's just phenomenal, but really all it does is it goes forwards and it goes backwards and it goes up and it goes down. There's no side to side. So this boat system is very similar. It has the ability to go forwards and backwards and up and down. It can even change tracks. You can go from one track to another track. So there's a lot of possibilities. So think about this boat ride being something like Hagrid's just on water. I mean, really the possibilities are endless. Universal could do so much with this ride system. Now, since this system has been around for 5 years, we actually have a brand new attraction that was just launched here in the last couple of weeks that is using this new ride system. And this new attraction is called Mission Bermudes. It is over there in the Futuroscope amusement park in France. This is essentially a thrilling water adventure through the Bermuda Triangle. And this is a really interesting ride. There's lots of video there you can see, and it just kind of showcases some of the cool things that you can do with this new ride system. To be fair, the ride itself seems a little bit unfinished. It is just launched. I feel like there was a lot of budget cuts regarding this particular attraction, so it's not going to be kind of the wow factor that maybe you're going to get from a Universal or Disney, but you can really get like a feel for the possibilities of what you can do with this system. You can see there are like very quick turns throughout this attraction, comes in and out of the water onto like a roller coaster track, goes forward at times, it goes backwards at times. And at one point, it even goes up a hill. It essentially goes up a lift system. So the boat essentially transfers onto this sort of track lift system, almost like Hagrid's. If you think about Hagrid's, where you sort of back into that sort of lift system there, and then there's that drop that happens, and then you go forward again. That could easily be done with this boat system as well, because you can kind of see here it's going up this lift system. Now, right now, the lift system looks pretty lame in this particular attraction. It's not themed at all. The original intent, my understanding, was that this was supposed to be the inside of a volcano. So this track essentially is a giant volcano where this lift is. You go up that lift and then you come out and you go down this roller coaster track down into a big body of water. Obviously that was cut for budget reasons, but you can again see the possibilities. So this new ride system could very well be the start of what we can expect from a Creature from the Black Lagoon attraction. Imagine the budget and all the creativity and imagination at Universal, what they could do with this ride system. Potentially even making some upgrades and improvements to the system where you can go sideways and you can do some spins and things like that. Imagine what you could do with this. I think it is really sounds amazing. Like I said, it could be Hagrid's on water, and that sounds to me like a winning attraction for Epic Universe. A dark ride, somewhat family friendly. I'd probably be a little bit more tense than Pirates of the Caribbean, but because Universal just tends to do that, they tend to amp it up. But a dark ride, Creature from the Black Lagoon, innovative new technology and ride system, Hagrid's on water. I'm telling you, that could be a huge winner. Could be one of the coolest rides ever made, quite honestly. So I would love to hear what you think. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments also what you think could be happening there. Are we going to get that Creature from the Black Lagoon attraction? And what sort of ride system would you like to see? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you excited about it? Hopefully, timeline-wise, Phase 2 for Epic Universe. We don't have a timeline yet, but I'm assuming here within the next year, we'll probably hear something about the expansions. And maybe we'll get that Creature from the Black Lagoon we've all been talking about. Once again, thanks so much for watching. Do really appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this content. Until I see you next time, the noble way is the easy way. Bye-bye, everybody.